Hello guys, how are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling? I thought I'd do a little something today by doing a makeup tutorial on this full glam as well as my unpopular opinions, because what better way to do makeup than have a little chit chat with you guys at the same time. So if you want to see how I got this full glam look of mine that I usually do on a full glam day, keep watching because I'm gonna spill some tea about my unpopular opinions too. Let's go. So the first thing I'm gonna use is my Hangover Replenishing Face Primer from Too Faced. I forgot what it's called, I just call it Hangover. But this is the best stuff. It has coconut oil in it. It's so good on the skin. My skin's been really dry lately. Like super, super dry. Because it's fall and when winter is approaching, I start getting really dry in the face, and I've actually been adding like this oil and honey solution to my face because it's so itchy when it's, you know, like it's literally peeling with dead skin. That's how dry it is. Just spread that all over and it smells so good. It feels so good. We good. By the way, sorry if there's an echo in here. If you guys weren't aware from my last video, I'm working on redoing my entire beauty room. It's actually mostly empty right now with the exception of my studio light and my makeup. I've emptied it out just because I am painting it tomorrow, which I'm really excited for. All white, yes, all white, everything, love it. All right, so let's talk about the first unpopular opinion, why don't we, okay? Earbuds. I just wanna know who came up with such a thing, because I love my non-earbud earphones, and it's just so silly how people walk around wearing earbuds. Like I saw a teenager on the bus wearing earbuds, and it's like, we know you didn't buy that, we know you ain't stunting, we know you ain't making cash, and we know mommy and daddy bought you that, or you stole them. I don't know, but like earbuds are apparently really expensive. I don't know why, because they're literally just two little buds, and they're so prone to being lost or broken, or like, how fragile are those things? I don't see the appeal, and honestly, I think it's really rude when people are wearing earbuds. The amount of times I say earbuds, oh my god, stop. You don't know when people are talking to you. Like, if something happens or if there's an emergency, like you have AirPods and you're jamming to the music, cool, but like, people won't know that like you're unaware of your surroundings because you're wearing AirPods, and most of the time you can't really see them until you see like into people's ears. You can't always see that. Just really unnecessary. Apple was bored as usual. They always gotta come up with new stuff and, you know, be trendy and be convenient, but like, I don't see the convenience in them. If anything, they're more of an inconvenience. Like, I would be so paranoid all the time to lose them and to be rude to someone that might be saying like, excuse me, if I'm like walking through somewhere. Whereas if you have, you know, the traditional wired headphones, like they can see that you have headphones on. I don't know. I definitely feel like old for saying that because I feel like everyone loves AirPods nowadays, which is like younger generation, and I feel like that's who it's geared for. And some people may say like, oh, well, you don't wear headphones for others, but just for safety issues alone, like it's a bad idea, but hey. That's just my unpopular opinion. Now I'm using my Born This Way concealer. I use my usual foundation, L'Oreal True Match, Lumi. You already know, your girl is super dry. But on to the next unpopular opinion. I want to talk about TV. I don't like TV. Sorry.
I was just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
Especially when people are talking about TV shows and TV, like movies and stuff. I'd rather do something productive with my time than watch TV. Like, I'm not saying I don't watch TV at all. I do watch This Is Us. That's my only exception.
And then I met you. You were better than my wildest dreams.
As well as American Horror Story. That's the only show I've been able to successfully watch with my boyfriend.
An emotion is like a flavor in my mouth. I can taste it.
But when people talk about shows in front of me and they're just like, oh my god, this and this happened, can you believe so and so, like especially like Game of Thrones, like mainstream stuff, I would never watch. I think This Is Us is like kind of mainstream, but not too much to like turn me off of it, especially mainstream stuff that everyone's talking about. I hate. Like I could never watch Game of Thrones. I could never rewatch Friends because too many people talk about it. I just like, I I don't know, I'm a hipster. Just kidding, but like, it's just so overrated, I feel like, and so many people talk about it. It's like, don't you have anything better to talk about? Every time they start talking about TV shows or TV related things, I'm just like, are you done? It's so boring. There's so many more interesting things to talk about than like a made up show on TV. Now, if we're talking reality TV, now we'll have a talk. We'll talk about them crime shows. We'll talk about them reality stars. But like, even then, it's like, oh my God, did you see what happened on The Bachelorette? I don't give up. What happened on The Bachelorette, girl? The fuck? So yeah, now I'm gonna go in with my Laura Mercier baking powder and just set my under eyes. But to kind of counter the last unpopular opinion of mine, not liking TV, I do believe still in something that a lot of people may disagree with, that the movie is better than the book. I said it. I think this is kind of biased for a person who doesn't really read that many books, and if I do, I'd rather not see the movie because you know there's gonna be missing parts in it. You can include so much more in a book that has like 400 pages than like a 2-hour movie. But what I like about movies is that exactly that. You can fit so much information into one 2-hour movie and feel all the feels and see all the stuff and get the gist of what the plot is. Whereas with a book, you gotta spend like, I don't know, I don't have time to read books. I barely ever read my own textbooks for school. But you gotta spend like days or weeks or however long to finish a book, and it's like, I just wanna know what happens already. Like, isn't there a movie for this book? That's usually my question when I'm reading a book. That's why I don't read that many books. My boyfriend will hate me for that because he loves reading books, but hey, opposites attract. For my eyebrows, I'm gonna go in with my Smashbox Shape Matters that is older than my grandma. My grandma not even living, so this is dead. I need to replace this because it is completely broken. The mirror totally popped off, but anyways, moving on to the next. I am not a feminist. You heard it here first. I don't care for fighting for women's rights. I don't care for any of that because at the end of the day, it's about equality. And I get that that's kind of what some feminists fight for, but the majority just want to be better. They are so butthurt, which reasonably so, that men get better pay and men get better treatment and whatnot. And I get that. I'm fully like on board with that, and women should be paid the same, but I don't think women should be paid better, if that makes sense. I don't feel like either gender is better than the other. I feel like we should just fight for equality, and that is why I'm not a feminist. I'm a humanist. I am on any human being's team regardless of gender, and it shouldn't be a gender thing. Because if you really think about it, there's so many men that support the cause of feminist women, but they don't want to be called a feminist necessarily. Like, they might be a little homophobic, which is not necessarily right, but you know, that might be the case. That might take away from a lot of the support that feminists could be getting towards their causes, because feminist has a term that kind of describes like a woman who believes in a certain thing which a guy may not identify as. So I feel like there's some work to be done on the term for the better of the feminist community and their causes. I feel like they would really benefit from the guys they're fighting against, which is men. So instead of identifying as a feminist, I identify as a humanist, and I kind of vouch for that whenever I speak to people about different issues in the world, because I don't know, I feel like people should hop on the same train and realize that no, there is an equality for women in the workforce and in a lot of aspects of daily life, and it's not really fair. So let's hear it for all the humanists. So for the eyes today, I'm gonna be using my Too Faced Chocolate Bonbon. Whoa. So I'm not gonna explain the colors every single time I'm gonna put on a color, but I'm just gonna tell you right now that I'm gonna be using almond truffle all over my lid. It's like a light, like skin color kind of color. Then I'm gonna go in with mocha for my transition color because it's a nice little brown. And then I'm gonna darken things up with Bordeaux, which is like a burnt red burgundy, like brownish red. And then I'm not sure if I'm gonna go in with a little bit of brown on the edges or black, because we are going full glam, so I do want to be a little bit extra for this. But let's get right into it. Why don't we? So the next thing I want to talk about is a little bit of a touchy subject. So if you're gonna be triggered, just click out of this video. But I just want to talk about euthanasia and, you know, the death penalty. I had an ethics class where we had to kind of be the devil's advocate for ourselves and be unbiased, take both kind of standpoints and make sense of them. If you heard noise in the background, my mom moved in for the week because Court is gone on vacay to the cottage, and she's just cleaning my entire house, because that's what moms do when you have them over. She don't know how to act. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I had a class where I kind of got to look at both sides of the story kind of thing. There's like a really insightful book about it that some writers kind of, you know, have points on both sides, and it kind of makes you think. But even though I went into it unbiased to kind of see where my mind would end up, I still ended up with the same conclusion and the same belief that it is just wrong. I feel like it is so hypocritical for the law, because prison, that's what it is. Especially when it comes to sentencing people for murder, which I think is usually what puts you on the death penalty in certain states in the United States. It's just like, it makes no sense to me. Okay, you're gonna punish this person, send them to jail. Okay, yeah, they did wrong, they killed someone, they deserve to go to jail and, you know, serve time and do volunteer stuff and whatever they do in prisons. But to kill them? Like, what is that teaching our children? You know, like, what is that showing us that we have to do? So basically, like, oh, you kill someone, we kill you. So yeah, I think it's very hypocritical. I think it's an unnecessary loss for both families, because it's already hard enough for one family to lose a loved one to, you know, murder. But then you're gonna make it worse for the other family of the guilty person, who already may be struggling as it is with them going to jail. And then you're gonna euthanize the person, you're gonna kill them. So then now you have two families grieving. I just don't get how people think they have the right, or the law thinks they have the right to decide on life. I feel like that is something only Jesus God himself decides. A fully grown human, that is, because now I'm gonna get into something a little more also touchy, and that is the topic of abortion. Kind of contradictory of me, but I just feel like I'm one of those people who would want the choice. I wouldn't want it to be legalized, because I wouldn't want such a thing to be encouraged. I feel like people should be safe and they should take precautions. Forgot to finish this sentence by saying that I also wouldn't want it to be illegal for people to get abortions, because in Canada it's not legal, it's not illegal, it's kind of just unspoken, which I'm not against. Like, I'm cool with that, just because if it was legal I would encourage people, and if it was illegal it would not be accessible to victims like I'm about to talk about, in order to not have an unwanted pregnancy. But at the same time, there are rape victims, there are people who, you know, for certain circumstances end up pregnant with a child that may not have a good chance at life, or have a good home or supporting parents. And I get that a lot of people, you know, may say like, well, you can just have the baby and give it up for adoption. But a lot of people don't actually have that option. A lot of people, it's health reasons. Like, imagine like young girls who are raped by a predator, and then they have to give birth at a very, very young age. Their bodies are not developed yet. And you may think like, oh, then you would just believe in like younger girls who are rape victims not having to put up with the scrutiny of abortion. But no, it's like, it should be a choice. It's your body. A lot of people want to go into like, oh, it's not a fetus, it's a baby, and all of that, the science of it. And I get that it's sad, but at the same time, I think it would be more sad for a victim, like I said, to live their life looking at a child, or not being able to look at a child if they give it up for adoption, that, you know, was a result of a very traumatic event for them. So I've decided I want to go in with black. But yeah, I feel like the difference between euthanasia and abortion is the fact that euthanasia is, you know, a form of consequence. It's a form of punishment that I believe is so unfair and so wrong. Whereas abortion, women can have abortions for a variety of reasons, and some of those may be very, very valid. And it is our duty to sympathize with that. And along with the same saying as like, people should not decide whether someone lives or not based on punishment, people shouldn't judge others either if they have growing life inside of them that they can't possibly take care of, or for health reasons even give birth to in the first place. So now we have our auburn smoky eye, kind of fall, kind of full glam look going on for you guys. Anyways, I'm gonna go in with the tattoo liner from Kat Von D, which is my favorite liner. I really love this one. It's really pigmented and the tip is amazing. You can go from thin to the most thick, and I love that for precision. But what we're gonna talk about next is gonna be a little problematic for a lot of you, once again, like unpopular opinions should be. I feel like not everyone chooses like such hardcore topics as me, but hey, I don't want to sit here and talk about pop culture because that's silly too. That would be another unpopular opinion. Who cares about what famous people are doing? But I want to talk about the fact that I don't believe divorce is an option. I'm not super duper religious about a lot of things. I don't go to church. I do consider myself Catholic, and I'll get into that whole religion thing in a second because I do have a say on that too. I basically just think like if you're gonna go through the work of spending all this money on a wedding, you know, changing your last name, wearing this huge diamond ring or wedding band, and you're gonna promise to God himself, if you're religious. If you're not, I feel like then I guess it changes. But just for me, I don't judge other people for like getting a divorce, that's like on them. But for me personally, divorce is not in my vocabulary. That's why I want to make sure that he's the one when I do finally tie the knot, because I feel like you should really be with someone prior to getting married, like for a couple years, to really get to know them, live with them, you know, which a lot of people would say is like living in sin, but someone could be a completely different person if you live with them. And if you move in after you get married, you might find out, hey, this is not the person I thought I was with, and now that we're married, we're living together, and I hate it. So that's why I feel like there's a lot of preliminary like tests to a relationship that should take place before, you know, making such a big commitment, because it is the biggest commitment you can really make, other than like buying a house, because like mortgage, tell me about it. But yeah, like a lot of people try to argue that opinion with like, oh, what if the marriage goes really south? There's such a stigma on men. There's always the men that ruin the marriage. But I always hear, even including my boyfriend, he says like, oh, well, how would you feel about like if someone was married to someone and didn't believe in divorce, who, you know, was abusive or like abused alcohol or drugs or something like that? And I feel like there's a lot of things that you can do to prevent that. Of course, no one's perfect and you can't see the future, and people change. Even if you have known them for years, like things like this can happen. But I feel like there's nothing you can't fix. And I mean, it's up to people whether they want to put up with it or not. But I feel like deep down, I've had enough relationship experience and love experience and boy experience to know that like I'm not gonna be with someone with those values in the first place. I don't know if that makes sense, but to give you guys an example, ooh, this is a dramatic wing and I'm loving it. If you are in a relationship or engaged or married to someone who smokes marijuana or smokes cigarettes or things like that, and then eventually they end up having a drug addiction or something, they're way more likely because of the early signs of, you know, taking any kind of substance. So those are kind of things to watch for if you're like me and you don't believe. I'm also, you're gonna think I'm crazy for just applying this messily, but I will smoke it out with a brush in a second, so don't call me crazy, okay? But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of early signs for stuff like that you can catch. And yes, there is the unexpected and worst case scenario, like you just get relationship therapy. Like I said, you can always work at it. Love is always, you know, it's not guaranteed. It's a fight sometimes to keep what you love. Have the same person despite being completely different people after years of being together. Still want to be with the same person you fell in love with and not with like, you know, someone who became a monster. And I get that, but at the same time, like, you have to really think about it when you're getting married, because it's a huge commitment for me that I would never want to break. It's a bond that I'm making in front of, you know, the Catholic Church, because I want to get married through the Catholic Church, that I would not want to ever disrespect. And who doesn't want their marriage to last forever? So I think that's also part of it. Like, I want my marriage to be forever, till death do us part, like it says. Like, what's the point of saying that if you're just gonna get a divorce? Okay, so now, like I said, I'm gonna smoke this out so it's a little more sultry. All right, so we are done with the eyes, which means I can sweep away, you know, the little bit of excess baking that I did here. But now we're gonna bronze and highlight. And again, I'm gonna use my Smashbox Shape Matters because this girl just lives forever. I mentioned how I don't go to church every Sunday. You know, I'm not opposed to it, but you know, I'm not a practicing or what society would call practicing Catholic. But for me, I feel like religion is very personal. Religion is a personal thing, a reflective thing, a spiritual thing, which no one else can see but you in the first place. So why go to a place where you gather and talk about all these things? And like, I don't even like half the things they talk about sometimes. Sometimes it's therapeutic, sometimes it's really nice, but other times it's just like they're talking about the devil, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about the devil, I want to talk about Jesus Christ. What is this? I just feel like it's sometimes very brainwashy, and they want you to think what they want you to think, and it's just like, you should think what you want to think. You should believe in what you want to believe in, read the Bible how you want to read it, and make of it what you want. I feel like that's what Jesus would have wanted. This is getting so deep. But I feel like, you know, God understands everybody. God knows everybody. He's our best friend. He's our father, right? So when people try to drill into you that like you're not a good Catholic if you don't attend church every single Sunday, it's like, f off. My religion is mine, and I practice it how I want to practice it. It's funny because you can see how full my highlight is on this palette because I only use this gold shade here, because this one's a little light. It's like a white shimmer, whereas I'm a little bit more tan than that. So I like to use like a more gold tone for my highlight. It gives you a lot more of a highlight too, like way more pigment, if you know what I mean. Look at that. But yeah, like I feel like people should be free to do whatever they want when it comes to religion. There's so many religions out there that you can practice in so many different ways. Ooh, I almost forgot. I'm gonna pop on my eyelashes and I'll be right back. Of course, I'm doing my lily lashes. You guys, I finally found my perfect nude by Anastasia Beverly Hills. It is the Toffee lip gloss. I've been dying for a nude lip color that fits my complexion and that isn't matte. I wanted like a nice gloss because nothing looks better than like a nude wet lip to me. So I finally found it, and I'm gonna talk about my last unpopular opinion. I don't know how, because I don't know how I'm gonna talk while applying this, but we'll work it out. This is gonna be my only unpopular opinion though that is based on fact, because I do have education and knowledge and experience behind it. But yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. You just talk silly like this, but okay, maybe just take breaks in between. Oh, this smells so good too. It smells like those toffee caramel like little candies that you get. But yeah, my last one's gonna be about time out and corporal punishment, aka spanking. Don't do it, sis. Don't do it. Don't do it. Let's leave that in the past. Children do not learn anything from timeouts. You can say whatever you want, but they don't. Being grounded in a room or having a timeout chair or timeout step on the stairs, people think it's cute. I see pictures on Pinterest all the time about like these timeout chairs, these cute little sayings about like, when you don't listen, na 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 na. Like, it's not cute. It's not cute. And it's not effective discipline. It's not effective mentoring for your children. The most effective way to have a child understand what they did wrong is to have a conversation with them, sit with them. You know, you may have to take away something that is a privilege to them, take away their favorite toy, take away something that they really like, because if they don't have that, they're gonna listen. But if you give them a consequence like a timeout or a spanking or anything like that, all they're gonna learn is rebellion. They're gonna rebel as soon as you're not looking, because that consequence that you're giving them for that thing they did wrong is not gonna be there. And you're not gonna have a conversation with them about what they did wrong. You may yell at them, you may do that and this, but if you don't genuinely have a conversation about why what they did was wrong, how could they improve better next time, and co-construct that learning together, you're not gonna get anywhere with your children, I'm telling you right now. And that is from a research-based topic that I have had to do in my education. It is my field of interest or of profession. I work with children, and it is very well known in the daycare industry and in the school age and all of that, just childcare industry in general, that children need a talking to. They need to genuinely see what they did wrong and have you talk to them like a human being, not like a child. Just, you know, say like, this is what you did wrong, this is why this is what you did. What? This is what you did wrong, this is why it is wrong, and, you know, kind of work together towards a better decision next time, and say, okay, maybe give them a warning and say, this is gonna be your first chance. And at the second time, you're gonna take something away, or you're gonna say, you know what? I don't think you can make choices on your own, so you're gonna stay with me or something. So they basically call it a sit-in. Instead of like a time out, it's time in with the parent, with the person who's reprimanding or disciplining or whatever you want to call it, parenting. Whatever the authority figure is, that is what is best. And that is my last unpopular opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching. My battery's dying. I'm gonna rush through this. Make sure to give this a thumbs up if you want to see more videos like this, or just if you enjoyed it, please come back and share, comment, do all this stuff. Follow me on my social medias, and I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Mwah.